9.
0, and
5.
bang! Time to prep for World War II. No, wait, that's over. Time to prep for World War III. The Hawaii Volcano Squad. And you are in the green tip zone, and we're going to enter. We're going to talk about how to prep for World War III. And we have some great panelists. I don't know what the left and right doesn't always match, but we've got Brandon, who once brought a 50 caliber round to kindergarten show and tell. And say hi, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon.
Thank you. We've got Dano, also known as Moose, in elementary school, and there'll be a question later to see if you remember that and why he was named Moose. Say hi.
Hello there. Oh, I'm sorry, I already said something. Yes, welcome all.
And we've got Cork, and he jumped in 3rd grade. He jumped into a mud puddle to home base in kickball.
And had to wear the gym teacher's sweatpants the rest of the day.
All right. Okay, so question number 1 for the panel. What kind of war will World War III be? Cyber, bio, nuclear, or kinetic? Brandon.
I would probably say cyber.
All right. So if anybody wasn't on the chat last night, does anybody have that link to the Norse IP? If I punch that link, it'll just kill my computer. It's the IP Viking link that Norse IP Viking Live link that you put that in the external or internal. And there's this chat that there's get my brain working. There's this link and it has like live cyber graphical interface of the cyber attacks in real time occurring around the world, and it just like will blow up your computer because there's so many again. Unless you have a very fast processor. All right, so check that out if anybody can dig up the link or post it. Jano, what kind of type of war will World War III be? Bio, cyber, nuclear, kinetic?
Well, actually, I'm going to pick a category called other. And the other, which I will put some meat on the bone, is a financial collapse. And that will initially go straight into informational and then lead to others from there.
Triggered by?
Financial collapse of the United States.
Triggered by?
Debt, petrodollar, need I go on?
Okay, well, only if you want to.
Well, I mean, that's a short answer.
Okay, Quark. Bio, cyber, financial, kinetic. What's World War III?
I kind of like Dano other. It's going to be robots. We're going to have Skynet and everything else. We're going to have Terminators come in and kill us.
If that doesn't count as cyber, robots don't count as cyber?
I think a cyber, though, is more of a attack on our power structure by hackers, stuff like that.
So you're thinking
which is actually what I'm seriously saying. It's good. I think it's going to be cyber. Because there's going to be a cyber shutdown, whether it be our power grid or something like that. Because it's, as you said, there are so many hacks. If North Korea is sitting there hiring Chinese.
You think a Terminator?
Hack. Yeah. Well, they hacked. They hacked Sony pretty easily. So I really think it's
cyber war.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a cyber war.
Which is informational.
Yes.
Yeah, and okay, and let's see. All right, so next question. If in order to help us get some information, if the AP successfully sues Hillary Clinton and gets access to her private server, will you volunteer to go through all of Hillary's hot yoga class? Yes or no, Brandon? Yoga emails. The hot yoga Hillary Clinton email. Yes or no?
Will I go through it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Dano.
As long as the pictures are removed, sure.
No pictures. You gotta go through as is. As is.
Oh,
I'm
Yes,
just
you know.
skipping text because text is where the meaning is.
A picture is worth 1,000 words, dude. I mean, you can't just skip the pictures.
If need be, yes.
If need be, okay. Four.
I'll take one for the country.
Yeah, just the mental thought of Hillary and yoga pants has made me sick to my stomach, so no.
Okay. The correct answer is get somebody else to do it. Nay.
I
Pretty
guess
much.
that would be me.
You were Brandon. All right. So, what do you think for your category of war? What's the most important? Well, nah, let me put it like this. What's the prep that you have to work on the most that you're not ready on yet, Brandon?
I would say food.
Long-term storage of food. All right. You're in Arizona. You don't have a garden or anything?
I do, but it's just like some grass and stuff like that. And like, it's funny, my roommate and I were talking about that the other day, and we were saying that we have like a huge amount of firearms and stuff and ammunition, but we have like no food. So you need to brush up on that.
What kind of grass?
So it's the Bermuda grass. It's just like weeds.
Right, I know. Oh, that's good for golfing. Yeah, I know.
For me, it's basically practical skill sets in that non-technology environment.
So you're short on doing practical skill sets.
Yes, in other words, when there's no power, we can't plug in the drill, we can't plug in the circular saw, we can't get the tractor running. That's what I mean. How to do things minus that level of modern technology and the skill set to do it.
All right, Cork. What's the prepping category that you need to work on the most?
Ammo, actually. I've only got a couple hundred rounds for my sidearm. It's not enough.
Yeah. So
That's
what
the
are
thing
you
I'm
ready
working
for?
on.
So Quirk's got the skill sets, huh?
The least thing you're least prepared, you have least of, and need to work on the most is ammo.
Yep, stocking up. Basically stocking up. That's what. I'm good on skill sets. That's the thing. I don't know how to reload. I don't know any of that stuff. So that's all stuff I'd have to learn. That's what I'm getting at.
Do you know how to suture a laceration?
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
All right. Well, what kind of
I know
rifle
how
do you
to
have,
grow
Cork?
and plant. I know how to use non-power tools. So I used them a lot of my life.
What kind of rifle do you have, Cork?
I don't have a rifle. I just have a shotgun and a sidearm.
No rifle.
No.
All right. Well, at least shotgun ammo is cheap, so your doesn't cost you too much to stock up on that.
Yeah, I even know how to gut and skin. I don't like doing it, but I know how to do it.
Take 3.5 Magnum or
3.5. Well, by that I mean prepping as ammo is loading.
Well, the right type of shotgun, simply using rifle sights and rifled slugs, you can get out to 100 yards.
Yep.
I mean, it's not going to be as good as a mid-power or high-powered rifle, but it will get 100 yards out there for that, whether it's that white-tailed deer, whatever it is will allow you to get to that distance.
All right, let's talk about location. Are you happy with? Are you in a good location for bugging in? And do you have a bug out location, or do you just think you need to move entirely, Brandon?
I'd say I'm pretty good. I have the mountainside at my back and the whole desert, so it's manageable. A lot of options.
Do you have any? Is there stuff you can hunt out there? Or?
Yeah, we got some wildlife.
All right. Water. Okay? Yeah. I could ask about the water situation in Arizona, but I mean, in the desert, is that going to be rough?
Actually, no, we're better off than California, surprisingly. Our water is constant here. Well,
I mean, it takes power, though, to get the water to your house to the tap. What if the tap isn't working? There's no power.
Oh, then I'd probably have to go actually dig for it somewhere.
Do you have how far down is your groundwater?
Um, I am not sure. I'd have to check on that, and that's where my skill set lacks.
Okay, Dano, your location, good, bad, gotta move, got a bug out?
I would call it, it's not bad, but it's not great. It's kind of in the middle. I'm not anywhere near what I'll call the hordes of people that will eventually. Some will stay in the big cities. Some will just leave because they don't know what else to do. But I'm not near that as far as an initial concern. I mean, long term that's different, but at least initially that's not my concern. But I'm in an area that's heavily farmed, so in regards to nature and protein sources, there is some, but when farming has literally stripped the land to where there is just corn and soybeans primarily, that doesn't leave a lot of room for nature and other foods that can be consumed directly without processing.
Okay. You got a bug out location?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Do you have a bug out location at all, anywhere as a backup?
It's more of a bug in.
Okay. Bug in and...
As a backup, in case of complete failure, I have an alternative plan, but that's a plan. In fact, I would call that a plan C. My plan A and B is in.
All right, yeah, that's a lot of people. That is most. You're talking about a cyber threat, so it's hard to see how that plays out. But you can imagine the power going down, sure, and utilities stopping, and no gas and no anything. When the optical, it's like we experienced that when an optical cable was cut here. But.
Yeah.
Okay, Quark, okay. Anything else you want to say before I go to Quark? Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Quark, your location.
I'm just gonna say right now, I'm a bug-in person like Dano. Pretty good location. Lots of wildlife. I'm just outside a major metropolitan area for my state, but major metropolitan means 100,000 people.
100,000 people making
yeah. But if I go, 300. Make that about 500 yards. I basically have farmland as far as I can see.
Farmland as far as you can see.
Yeah.
Green acres.
It goes on for miles and miles and miles and miles. Just big
yeah.
farms.
Well, I've got my condo in town location, and I'm looking at buying like a little jungle. I did a link for you guys, I think, last night. We were there on the.
But you didn't let me say my bug out. I mean, if I definitely have to bug out, I know where I'm going.
Tell us about your bug out. Tell us about your bug out.
Oh, it's just what I can carry on my back. I know where I'm going if I have to get away from the house. Hopefully I'll be able to get back to the house, but it's not a set-up location, but it's a location where near water, easy for making your own shelter. If I can't take a form of shelter with me, plenty of wood, etc., so I can stay nice and warm. And I have to forage or hunt for my food. That's the only drawback.
Okay.
But it's not too many places people go, so. And it's within easy walking distance for me.
Yeah, well, for myself, the most thing I prep for is the hurricane was like major one because that's the biggest threat in Hawaii. And but if that's not a World War III. If World War III happens, then I am getting ready. I found some property that's up on the volcano in like a cloud rainforest and right on the edge of a national forest. So, but it's only $29,000, but actually doing anything with it and improving the land costs a lot more than the land will. And so that will be my bug out location, and I have the in-town location.
Yeah. Tsunami, you're going to get up nice and high, which everybody else thinks they're going to do too. So
Well, yeah, that's that is the other threat that's possible. Obviously, it's not World War III, but it's when in the past when there's been an asteroid collision, it lands in the ocean, causes a huge tsunami, and if you're on the coast, you get wiped. The good thing about being on the coast is fishing. You eat relatively easy protein, just throw in a line, everybody does it. So.
Hawaii, I got a question for you, and then a follow-up question. You are on one of the islands, correct?
Yeah, I'm on the Big Island.
Okay. The question I have is you're in a little bit of a unique, maybe a very unique situation in regards to, it would seem to me, if I were to put myself in your shoes without any real forethought to this question, that you would basically be to using some modern materials that are available now is to emulate what the indigenous personnel were able to do in regards to food sources and housing. I realized they weren't houses in the traditional sense, but what they did for shelter.
Well, not really, because the traditional Hawaiians were all living on the coast, and they had fish pens, traditionally, and they had farmed taro along the coast, and they had fish pens on the coast. But going up on the mountain, I think hogs are an invasive species. In hog hunting, that's like that if I was to go up into the jungle on the map that I shared last night at the end of during Pork's After Chat, it's hey, Ballistic, we'll get to a topic in a minute. It'd be different because there's tons and tons of wild boar. You could eat boar for the rest of your life if you're up there. I mean, yeah. Okay, G-Webs and ballistic expansion. The topic is prepping for World War III. And we've been talking about we've gone through a bunch of categories of prepping, and we talked about location, what kind of war World War II is going to be, and right now I'm just answering a few questions about the traditional subsistence. Yes, there is a graphic for World War II. Yeah, I did make that before. I mean, you're right, G-Webs. Anyway, so Dana was just asking me about the local subsistence living. So if I was to go local subsistence, I'd have to be on the ocean. I did live on the ocean when I first moved here. But I had a place like a house like on the ocean for like $800 a month, but that's a whole nother story, and I wound up moving there, and I live in what passes for metropolitan on the Big Island is like, Kona or Hilo, and Kona is like nothing population-wise, but anyway, so so if I'm going to live up in the cloud rainforest, the good thing is, free water. You just need a way to catch it, and you can filter it, and and then there's farming, and then there's a farmer's market, but World War III, who knows? That was going to be up in Volcano. There is a farmer's market up there every Sunday, but you've got enough forest and land to grow whatever you want. It's just a question, and you got enough rain to do it. It's just a question of keeping the hogs out of your garden. I think that answers your question. If traditional, you live on the coast. If you want to get into the jungle it can get. I mean, you could just build a camp on public land if you don't worry about it. But you want to actually own the land, preparing for it, So go ahead. What's your follow-up, Dano?
Is that it sounds like in most ways it's a very idealistic situation, as long as it's not the one that involves the earth spewing.
Oh, you mean the volcano blowing up?
Yeah.
Well, there's a song that goes, I don't know where I'm going to go when the volcano blows. And Jimmy Buffett did that one.
Yeah.
They'll just swim out in the ocean for a while and then come back when it's done.
Yeah.
I got a surfboard, I can just paddle around until. Well, lava flows downhill, and the place I'm planning on buying is uphill from where the lava is flowing out. So. All right. So, what topic were we on? Did you have a follow-up, Dano?
No, that what was it?
Okay, prepping categories. I'll go through everyone again. Let's see. What was really prepared? Okay, help me, guys. What's another good category here?
Well, I mean, I'll give you what people say, which is terribly incomplete, and that's the beans, bullets, and band-aids.
Beans, bullets, and band-aids.
Yeah, that's kind of a saying in this
Hawaii,
community.
It would be spam, bullets, and band-aids.
Okay, well,
but
food is food.
Yeah, well, the main thing I noticed when I did my, prepper, when my engine died and I had to get a new engine for my Blazer shipped in, I decided to do a prepper test, and I found out that, after 30 days on canned food and spam and shit, you just crave fresh food. You'll kill for a head of lettuce or tomato. I mean, your body just craves this stuff. I mean, you'll die if you don't have fresh type of food and just eat canned stuff. But I mean,
people live on.
Actually, you will die because it's scurvy, right?
Well, you can take vitamins, but I can't explain the feeling. If you've gone 30 or 40 days like I did without it, I mean, you'll just. It's a hard to describe feeling. It's like part of you is missing, almost like the vampire sucked out all the fruits and vegetables or something, and you can feel it.
Well, I have an experience that's different, but yet it has some similarities to it. And anyone who's had some, regardless of what branch it was, has gone through some sort of basic training. They decide your diet. And when you're young and used to going to fast food, having soda pop and candy and whatever it is that you happen to like, whenever you want it, and then all of a sudden that is completely and totally denied to you, is you will develop cravings that are borderline addiction withdrawal to try to do anything. I mean, as an example, a bag of M&Ms back in the 80s was going for $20 for somebody on the black market to get it brought into the barracks.
I can get you M&Ms for $5 a bag.
See, I mean, but you know what I mean. I mean, people, we're so accustomed to certain, and of course, after a couple of months, yeah, it doesn't go away. It just slowly gets less and less and less and less. But that's different than being nutritionally deprived, which is what you're talking about.
Okay, let's talk about alternate energy.
Well, I got a question because I jumped in late.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're saying prepping for World War III. That's the part that intrigued me because a lot of people say, SHTF or end of the world or whatever. So World War III is what was intriguing to me. What are you considering World War III? And is that a factor or is it just end of the world?
The first question we asked was, because you jumped in late, was what? We asked every panelist, what do you think World War III will be? Will it be cyber, bio, nuclear, kinetic, financial? What is World War III? And so, G. Webbs, why don't you tell us what you think it is?
Well, I have no idea. I don't think we can predict it right now. I definitely don't think it'll be a World War II. I know it won't be a World War I, but that's as much as I can even predict because, like you say, it could be so many different things. Financial, electronic.
You have no opinion of what it could be?
I just said it could be so many various things. I suppose it could be almost anything.
What are you prepping for? Anything? I mean...
I don't prep like that, I guess.
Okay.
Honestly, if it's World War III, I think of more like Red Dawn. You're prepping what you can carry, and you're no longer a sedimentary being who sits around. You're now a warrior who carries your 100% of your things you own, and maybe you dig a hole once in a while and bury something. But I mean, if we're truly at war, I'm not staying at home for nothing.
Well, I mean, you're not going to bug in, you're going to bug out.
If we're at war, I'm fighting. And I'm still of healthy enough age to pull a trigger. So if we're literally at war, I mean, if we're talking end of the world, like, you know, catastrophe or meteor hits and everyone is just scattering because the resources are dwindling. But if we're talking war, aren't we assembling and
Well, what if
pulling
the enemy
triggers?
isn't where you're at? I mean, you know, I don't know. It depends what kind of a war it is, you know.
Exactly. That's why I say it's tough
So
to.
here's
That's
the
why I
other
guess I
question.
wasn't sure.
Here's the other question we had while you were gone was, what about your location? Are you in a are you happy with your location for bugging in, and do you have a bug out location plan?
Where I'm at, I can book to Mexico, and I could book to the ocean, or I could book to the mountains. So I think I'm in an okay spot. But more specifically, I'm screwed. I got in just as Brandon was talking about digging down. I don't think we can realistically dig down. I mean, we could have back in the day when the water table was near us, but our
Where is it
agriculture
now?
was the agriculture has sucked the water table so that we don't have naturally occurring running water. At least down in in Tucson area, you might still up in the mountains or underneath the plateau there. But
Yeah, I think he was
I
saying he's
think
up
that
on the
would be
mountain.
tough.
Yeah, that's
Brandon was
nice.
saying
Nice where I'm at.
Well, I know you're headed up. You're north of Scottsdale. You're around Scottsdale. So, like I say, we're in different areas, but still, I think that would be tough unless you were talking like everything's just over and it's time to start from scratch again, and you're ranching like they did back in the 1800s. Then, of course, you can dig a well. It would just be a little bit tougher than it used to be. But I also suspect if the world literally went to shit, some of those dams are either going to be exploded in a war or just fall apart because they're not being maintained, and those dams will fall back to rivers, and you know the world will go back to the way it's supposed to be. So right now we have some artificial droughts because California sucks all our water, and we also have a lot of agriculture that wouldn't normally be here. So I suspect if all that went back to normal after decades, we'd probably have a normal water table again, as long as the weather didn't get fucked up by
you could survive for decades after World War III. Yeah.
Well, who couldn't? We're in Arizona, where let's talk about the 1800s and the early 1900s. We were basically in what we're talking about, living without supply resources coming in, except for the occasional like spicy food or pretty dress or something. People lived with what they had out here. So we are in a part of the country, just like any part of the whole world, where it is manageable to exist, especially with just a few people to help out.
I would make a terrible Apache. I can tell you, I would make a terrible Apache. I don't think I could live in Arizona.
We had more than just the Apache. Don't be racist, but yeah, I hear you. It's tough, and it's not like
No,
it
I
would appeal
wasn't
to
saying
everybody, but we could also
I
have
think
2
they
feet,
were
so we would
amazing.
walk to a coast or something like that.
I meant that respectfully. They were amazing.
No, I hear you. It's just that we also had sedimentary agricultural tribes out here too. That's all I'm saying. A lot of people think about the Apaches because they were running around kicking butt. They had very large territories, but there were lots of think of Hopi or something where they stayed in one place and they developed an area agriculturally and utilized the resources that were there without being migratory, or I should say raiding, but whatever.
Okay, can we? Hey, Caleb, you have anything to say on this subject so far?
Well, I mean, yeah, as far as my area goes, it's pretty ideal actually. Kind of in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains, the Appalachian Mountains. So, plenty of water, vegetation, and wildlife. Of course, and if everybody's wanting those things, of course, it's going to be decreased. But I mean, there's a lot of undeveloped land here.
What about proximity to a city of 50,000 or more?
Yeah, I'm about 30 minutes away from a pretty large city.
Wait, that would be an advantage? Because I would think that would be a disadvantage.
Exactly.
No, yeah, I'm far from a city.
okay.
Yeah, you'd be able to get out. You'd be able to get out of Dodge from where I'm at.
So
All right,
coming to a.
But
Right.
but I'm kind of like in a pocket though, because I'm like Atlanta's to my left. Then there's another big city down about 45 minutes to the right, down like southeast.
We're not looking for your store number.
And they're all coming your way.
All right, so I wanted to get onto alternate energy. Do you guys have any alternate energy ready to go, or is that something you guys got to still work on? Brandon.
I have like a generator. I've never used it, but I just bought it for for who knows, the what if. But there's a lot of solar around here, so well, we never have any shortage of sunshine except for today, oddly enough. But I think solar would be the way to go.
You have is that a propane generator or gasoline?
It's gas.
Okay. How many watts?
Honestly, I don't know. Like my roommate got it, and we still haven't. Like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like as far as firearms, I'm pretty well, but this stuff like this that I should probably have, and I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I know some things about it, but there's just so far. It's one of the things I definitely have to work on. Got any? Okay, Caleb, ballistic expansion. Got any alternate energy?
Yeah, like he said, solar energy would be probably the easiest to set up.
Do you have it?
No,
You have it.
no, I don't have any.
Okay. G-Webs, alternate energy.
I don't know what I would need it for, so I guess I have a solar panel if I wanted to try to use a phone or maybe
That's what I was
power
gonna add,
rechargeable radios, but I would just, I mean, what do you really even need electricity for after?
Well, basically, comms and GPS. If
GPS ain't going to work, so I ain't worried about GPS, and even
Yeah,
if it did, it would have a limited time, so I
well,
wouldn't.
it's an unknown. I mean, because
I hear you,
don't-
but I'm not going to go out of my way to worry about having GPS after the fact.
No,
And
but if you already
like to
have
say
one.
comms.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not
communications.
throwing it away, but if seriously, if something really bad happened and infrastructure was damaged to the point where the last few messages you do hear from the outside are that the whole world just collapsed, then I don't give a shit about my GPS. I mean,
Yeah.
I
That's-
luckily know orienteering, so I'm going to use my compass, which always works, and stars and moss in the trees and all the other techniques. So I don't care about GPS. It's handy, but that's a sucker bet to try to prep now to keep something going that keeps you stupid. Just learn how to do the alternative what they've used since basically the beginning of time until just the last couple of decades.
You don't need electricity for anything?
No, like I say, like I agree with Dano that if I wanted to keep my phone or my communications going, I would probably not throw away my solar panel since, like I said, we live in Arizona where we always have sun. But when name something I need electricity for that I wouldn't.
Right. I mean, the only thing I think would think of would be key to drive off electricity is if you were staying in one location and you wanted to run a well or something like that, and that'd really be the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's called a windmill, so you
Yeah,
literally don't
exactly.
need electricity for anything. You would just live more like in the 1800s, which just means you'd dry your laundry instead of having a stupid machine do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I just put my stuff in Lanai because it's so fucking hot. I don't know why. Dan, you got any? Do you have a alternate energy? Ready to go?
I'm like what I'll call halfway there. I don't necessarily have it. I do have a generator, but 3,800 watts. But that's using traditional means. What I don't have that I want to get for it is a converter for the carburetor to allow it to burn alternate fuels. Because I also look at the possibility whether first myself, a loved one, or maybe in trade, someone who might be on a medical device that would be willing to give up maybe a couple months of food to get that generator to keep their loved one going. I mean, it may not have value to me, but it may have value to someone else.
Okay.
And I mentioned the comms, and I'm just going to touch on the GPS one more time. It's not the first go-to thing. It's the last thing. It's a convenience. If it works, it's great, because as an example, mine will operate in multiple modes, including foot mode. It has terrain features. I can shoot an azimuth. I can follow a terrain map. That would be my primary system because it doesn't require power. But if the
But you know what,
satellites
though? You're screwed because you live in a part of the country that has no terrain, so you do require.
What about ham radio? Do you think ham radio, having a network of ham radio, would be a good use for electricity?
Oh, definitely.
we
Way more
have
than a
rivers and
GPS.
creeks. If I can go back to navigation for a moment, we have rivers and creeks, and we actually do have limited terrain. So it's, pinpoint accuracy, no. General getting where you go to, yes.
Okay, Quark, got any alternate energy reps?
Negative, and I don't think it's needed for World War III in that situation. Generator is just going to make noise and
You don't have a giant hamster wheel for your cats?
exactly make you a target. Solar power, unless you just got a little solar cell to like charge your phone, like Geob said. Too much of a hassle. Here, where I live, solar power is out of the question, unless I cut down all my trees. So that's out. I mean, I could rely on wind power if I really, really wanted to, but that's just a pain in the rear because you can't always count on wind.
Unless I misheard you, Quark, did you say navigation won't be required?
No, I said in World War III, I'm not worried about the power.
Oh, okay.
He said like generators like would attract attention and it would be too much of a hassle for solar.
Oh, it's got all sorts of downsides, no question.
Yeah, and solar where I live, man, I really have to cut down all my trees. If you ever saw me flying the Hudson, that's basically the only open air I got. And then, oh, great, I'll put my solar panels up on my driveway. It's getting in and out of the driveway really difficult.
But how are you going to run your drones without your spy drones without that?
I'm not worried about power, and I'm not worried about having spy drones for that. I'm not worried about that. Navigation is definitely going to be important. I'll rely on maps myself. I'm not going to worry about GPS. And plus, the area where I live in, like Dano, there's minimal terrain, lots of streams and creeks and small rivers which are easy to navigate.
Now, guys, okay. Here's a quick question. How good are you guys at map skills? I mean, do you know how to count for the? I mean, I'm not even any good at it, but at least I know what I don't know. What is it? The magnetic, especially in Hawaii, it's a little more different than it is on the mainland. The counting for the magnetic variations on your map.
Right, magnetic declination, and it's because the actual North Pole isn't really at the axis that the Earth spins at, so it's just
it's really different in Hawaii.
A map.
Yeah, magnetic north and true north.
Magnetic north is like in Canada because they ruined it, so that's why it would be weird for you. It would be almost like looking to the right.
You're blaming Canada.
They just ruined electromagnetism, but that's
Okay, Brandon, you got any good map reading skills? You know how to count for magnetic declination and just for it on a map?
I was it's funny. I did all my seamanship specialist, celestial navigation, all that, and it is like riding a bike. Like you would think that once you know it, you know it, but I haven't used it since I was active duty. So, I mean, most I retained from that was Latin long and celestial nav. So but like also like my way that I guess my prepping has kind of changed too, because I was living in a major metropolitan area to coming out to Arizona. So like Geob said, like you're just gonna have to go out there and pretty much just follow this by map reading and stuff and look. So I don't know. Did I say that right?
Works for me. Yeah. What I really hate is I don't know. When you see those movies about some more movie, there's always some freshly green lieutenant who comes out and isn't quite up to map reading skills, and he accidentally calls in an artillery strike on his own position because he doesn't know what he's doing. So I think it's important to mention stuff like that. Learn to learn. That's something I need to work on. I mean, I know what I don't know. I mean, which in Hawaii, it's easier on the mainland because it's like I think there's something through the center and then it's like a few degrees to the left or right or where the thing but in Hawaii it's like right in between these two weird red things, and I need somebody to explain that. Although it really doesn't matter. I could just use the magnetic north for going through the jungle, but anyway, so I'm going to get off map reading unless anybody else has anything about it.
I was gonna. Oh, go ahead.
No, you were next anyway. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, pretty much my extent of it is just, going up in the woods. I have a good sense of direction in that kind of environment, and I can look at a map and, read like the lay of the land, the topography, and all that. But I can't sit there and say, oh, where are these coordinates? I can't like write down these coordinates and like, oh, you need to go to these coordinates. I can't do that. I mean, I'm sure it's not overly difficult, but not the extent of it.
I think I can get by with magnetic north for myself, just because it's but there's the cloud rainforest here. You will get lost like 100 yards away from the road. It all looks the same. Anybody? I'm sorry, I think I interrupted someone.
I was going to say, you live on an island. I mean, all you can do is go around in circles.
That's what I was going to say. Just go in one direction, you'll eventually get to one side. And
trying to go in one direction through a rainforest that all looks the same is a lot more difficult than it's at.
Now,
So having those.
the one skill we were talking about, very basic skills, non-technology skills that I don't have, that that I kind of wish I had, was the ability to use they're referred to as ranger beads, and it's a way of counting distance, so that when you're walking, through the use of time and your pace, you can figure out how far you've gone.
It's pretty simple. Just go find a known distance and walk it and see how many paces it takes you to do it. And then you just count.
Right.
Like if it's going to take you 25 paces, I'm just going to use round numbers. If it takes you 10 paces to go that distance, you take and you divide that distance by 10. Or, you put 10 beads on there. So now you know every time you count that many steps, you pull a bead from one side of the thing to the other, like an abacus. And then the next time you count that many steps, the 10 steps, you pull the next bead. The next time you pull the 10 steps, you pull the next bead. That way, if you get in a firefight or something happens, and then you have to go back to walking again, it's like a physical record of how far you've walked. So it's literally that simple. And then it's just a matter of applying that to a map. So if you need to go 10 of those units, then you just
Right. I understand the broad basics. I just, you also have to do it a number of times to get a large enough sampling group, because, obviously your steps are different than my steps, as well as my pace is different, not just the length of my pace. So,
right, and that's just practice a few times. But that's the basics of it. So it's nothing complicated. It's just a matter of doing that, or understanding the concept, and then, like you said, you want to do that over hilly terrain. You want to do that through places where there's fences or something where you have to walk around and pick up your trail again. And once you've done that a handful of times, it's really not too bad.
But it's something I don't think is well known that technique even exists.
Well, again, it's not necessary for the most part, unless you're actually stopping to do something that's going to completely take your mind off of stuff, so that you forget where you're at in an unknown distance walk.
Well, I raised it because of the scenario that we're talking about, so I'm assuming it would be or could be important if that's what's happening in the world.
For sure.
I mean, today, no, it's not.
So I was going to say that if you're thinking that your skills are gone, I suspect that it's like anything that you learn in basic, like they teach it to you at a 6th grade level for like a week, right? Especially the important stuff. So I bet you as soon as you looked at a manual, it would all come back to you, especially if you had to use it for 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the other thing, is that because everything you learn in basic, which is, I didn't even know, is that everybody in the Navy learns star navigation or whatever that is, celestial navigation?
Anybody that has like any sort of maritime, I don't know too much about the Navy, but I know in the Coast Guard, it was just what we had to do through our 8-week.
Well, that's awesome. We have to learn compass, and you may never touch a compass again, so it's just a basic skill. But I didn't even think about that. Then I figured the Navy learned compass too. It makes total sense. You'd learn stars though, so that'd be neat. I'd like to learn stars, so that's maybe something I'll try to put on my list. But I was going to say, if you use a basic instruction manual, the basic manual or whatever branch you want to look at, it's going to be at the 6th grade level. It's made for idiots. So seriously, anybody who thinks this stuff is complicated, they teach it to people who are stupid all the time, every single day, and they master it to a level where they're competent in it. So a military manual is a quick way, and there's the geocaching applications on the phone, and using the GPS and geocaching. It's really simple. You can do it without any kind of actual technical knowledge, but as you play around with it, have fun with your family or your kids or something, finding these little geocaches, little places tagged around your area or when you travel. And as you do that, you'll, through absorption, learn a little bit of the grid system. Basically, the globe, if you look at it, has a big grid on it, and that's the GPS, right? It's just that the satellite tells you exactly where you are on it. So using that geocaching as sort of a game and as sort of a transition, you can absorb a lot of map stuff, and then you can just play with that on Google Maps or an actual physical map, and you'll be surprised how simple map reading is. I mean, cavemen did this stuff. It's not like it's a big deal. It's just that our media likes to make things that are self-sufficient look like they're impossible to achieve anymore, and it's basic stuff. Little kids do it all the time.
Well, of course, even if you flick on like a Ridley Scott or Michael Bay movie, it looks like, you know, map finding or map celestial navigation. It's like it's something that only NASA can do.
Seriously, and think about it back in the day. Even now, every single fisherman that goes out has to do something to get home, and they do it. They manage to fish every single day.
Yeah, a lot of the trawlers that were out in California, like just a lot of the fishing boats, they didn't have any of that high tech like GPS or Lowrance systems or anything. They just had like their maps, and that's how they did it.
That's how we fish out of Florida every year. About the farthest we go offshore is about 20 miles. I mean, it's enough where you lose sight of land on
That's a long way.
rough day, and I mean, GPS we use is just like a little. It's literally like one you can like just stick in your backpack or something like that. And we have two of them, we have like backups and all that. And I think we have one that mounts to the boat now. But before, when we first started, all we had was a little handheld GPS, and it's just a little. You're the little arrow, and it has a little path, and you just follow the path. It takes you to the coordinates. So I mean, pretty straightforward and easy to use.
Yeah, there's a lot of systems out there that like I noticed like a couple of our new cutters that came out with all this stuff that like the technology must have cost like at least like $100,000 per dash, and it's just not needed. I mean, sometimes less is more. When you try to put on too much stuff and try to like jam pack too much technology into something when it can be so simple, exactly what you were saying, just like little GPS reader.
Yeah, it's crazy how much money that people spend on their offshore boats. And I mean, it's understandable if you're going out like a week and a half, like a week trip or something like that, or going to like go down to like the island, like to the Caribbean or whatever. That's different. But for like just fishing offshore, like farthest anybody ever goes in like a small craft vessel, which is like 30 feet, or I would say 30 feet and less, or something like that, is like maybe 40 miles, if that. Just really limited by your gas tank and everything. And like I said, we have like a depth finder and like some other stuff, but I'll talk about that later in the fishing chat, actually, hopefully. So save that for later.
The fishing chat. Okay, so let's talk about real quick. Does anybody have any stockpile, anything for barter?
Sure.
Guns.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd say guns and ammunition.
All right, I stockpile tequila and vodka for barter. Seriously.
That's good. That's a good idea. Yeah, just keep it somewhere where it's safe from a flame.
Roommates.
Yeah, or roommates.
And obviously, the vodka has multiple uses. I won't go into all of them, but most of you know all that stuff. Do you have to stockpile anything?
I got to guess a different spin on it. What if you acquired skills as your barter currency? That way it can't be taken from you, and you're always vital to the operation. Plus, you'll know if somebody else is just an idiot because you already know what they're trying to do.
Okay, you stockpile skills. Jano.
Yes. The only thing that, under most conditions, I would never be willing to barter is ammunition or firearms, because it can be used against me.
All right, Quark. Do you stockpile anything for barter?
No, sadly, I don't stockpile anything for barter.
Okay.
Well, Dano, what if you were to barter a whole lot of corn to someone, and then they were able to extract the high fructose corn syrup from that corn and make some sort of sweet
Ice cream?
snack to give back
Ice
to
cream.
you? Exactly. And then you would eventually get heart disease or whatever, and they would be technically using it against you.
Well, there are exceptions, and I'll give you one example. Let's say that after a certain test period, both me being tested as well as me testing a group, and I want to join this group, I want them to be as prepared as they can, because that includes my own safety. and then I may be willing to loan for the period of my life or my time at that with that group my firearms and other security devices.
Do you guys actually trust groups outside of your family?
People outside our family?
Yeah, anybody.
I've probably a handful, like I could count count on both hands. I mean, under 10.
That's a lot of people to trust. I mean, you're talking about trusting with your life. I mean, not to trust.
I think I would. What's the point of anything if you can't even trust your neighbors and your friends?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, and like I've seen like the worst of what people can do to each other during Katrina. Like we've seen neighbors like go just have a straight out war to literally self-sustain. Like two people, same block, across from the street from each other, were best friends, and now they're like beating each other up over like a candy bar because they were cut off from any sort of means of, medical supplies or food. And you take two people that have probably been friends for a long time, but in a survival situation, how much can you trust that person? That's a good point.
I guess that's true, but I'm thinking maybe that's more towards the end. I would say going into it, I'd rather have allies because it's going to be tough to do it alone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, at that point.
Anybody else on that one?
I'm pretty much the only one that does this, other than my roommate. Like, my parents, it's funny, like, I asked my mom, like, do you prepare for anything? You prep, you live in California, you're ready for the big earthquake. And she's like, no, when it happens, it's my time. I'm 70 years old, whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly how my family is. Exactly.
No, screw that.
I try to do a little bit more to help some of my loved ones. So if it ends up that unfortunately I am right, that I might be able in the position to help them.
Now that's an interesting topic. Hawaii, I don't know if that's might be something you guys want to think about. Like, if we're in an area, like I moved out of California, I'm totally 600 miles away from my parents. Would that be something possible that we would all try to do? And what would be the risk factor, and, to go and save our loved one, or if we don't live with them?
Oh, okay. Oh, we had an ice cream issue there. Go ahead, Brandon. Yeah, it was Dana with the ice cream.
I was just saying, like, because I live 600 miles away from my parents right now, and in the event of something, happening, whether it's a man-made or a natural disaster or something, or, World War III, for instance, how many of us would try and actually see it as something feasible to go and rescue loved ones that may not have, one, either prepared for situations like this, doubted you, and are just pretty much accepted whatever. It's something tough to swallow, but accepted their fate in the event of something sort of, disastrous would happen. Would we try and go do that? I think many of us would try to, but also we would also understand the risk of that and can I get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's hard for me to rescue my family because they're in California.
Yeah, most of my family's near me. We're all pretty close, and so that's kind of a bonus.
Yeah, all my family's 160 miles south. At least 160 miles south, so.
That's not too far.
In World War III, that's a long way to go on foot.
Yeah, it's let's see what. I mean, that's probably what. Like
average human walks 2 miles an hour.
2 or 3 weeks, probably.
Yeah, think about it. 2 miles an hour.
Yeah, you probably could walk like 10 miles a day if you were walking. You probably could go faster than that if you really wanted to. It depends on how much gear you had and stuff like that, though.
Yeah, but that's
I
just
would not want to have to walk to a
walking.
bug out location. I'm too old to walk huge distances to bug out locations. I'd rather get in my car and drive if I possibly could. I mean,
Me
carrying
too.
a whole pack.
And then you would have to deal, like for me, I would have to deal with going in through Los Angeles and all that stuff, and just, oh man.
Oh god, yeah, you wouldn't make it out. Like you wouldn't want to. You would not want to go near the place.
I think my problem would be law enforcement, because there's a one belt highway going all the way around the island, and law enforcement would pull you over and say we want your stuff. You know.
Oh yeah, but at that point, no one's gonna be there. It's gonna be every man for himself. So it's gonna be like F you, pretty much. You know, you're not gonna listen to them.
Well,
Just remember, Liberty self-defense ammo goes through. I
I had an understanding that Oprah. Just a moment. I had an understanding that Oprah had a private road that literally cut right through the middle of the island. Is that not true? And if it is true, why would it not be used by the masses?
Well, there is a road that cuts through the middle of the island. I mean, but it's called the Daniel P. Inouye Highway. I mean, it goes right by the military base. It's not Oprah doesn't have her own road. I mean, I think she has a place out here, maybe. Nancy Pelosi has a place out here, but she doesn't have her own highway.
Did you egg her house?
Hers is a bunch of Viet Cong.
The only reason I'm aware of it is because it made a big stink, because there are unique laws when trying to buy property in Hawaii in regards to what state you were born in, and Hawaiians get first shot at everything in regards to land.
No, you're talking about Hawaiian lands, owned by the Kamehameha schools and stuff. I mean, that's particularly that's specific land. That's not like most land. I mean, there's a lot of land owned by Parker, and stuff, but there's leasehold land, and there's land where you have to be, have a BS in agriculturing, or a record of farming. But mostly it's fee simple. Well, you can buy tons of fee simple land. You can buy the land I'm looking at is fee simple. I mean,
Pepper bought a cattle ranch, and I don't think she's got a lot of experience in cattle ranching.
Yeah, well, there's agricultural land, and where we can have one structure per 10 acres, Ag 10, Ag 20, one structure for 20 acres, and it's like a farming or agriculture type of deal. There's different categories. There's like everywhere. It's like zoning. Yeah, like I said, I'm looking at some fee simple land right next to a national forest reserve, rainforest, because I just can't stay. I can't see staying long term in a condo in this place, unless I was to militarily take it over. It's just, I mean, okay. You're headed to the Stones? All right, what does that mean? All right. Okay, so next subject, let's see, next topic on preparing for World War III. We need to come up with one. Any ideas? I'm running out of it. We went through alternate energy, bug out location.
Well, again, World War III to me sounds like we're fighting, so yeah, munitions.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about munitions? Oh, that's my favorite. When we go back to that green tip zone.
But if we're going to talk about guns, I'm leaving because it's scary.
Okay. Well, you brought it up.
Great chat.
No guns. Just ammunition. Did you want to talk about ammunition? Oh, he bailed. All right. Stone guy has a chat. Who cares about Stone guy? Do you want to talk about ammunition at all, or? Oh, have we done that to death?
How much is not enough?
Yeah, pretty much.
Next, we have talked it to death, I think.
Rather than necessarily get into caliber wars, I think maybe just a few minutes on a long rifle that would be capable of reaching. What distance would you feel comfortable having one of? Reaching out to 500 yards? Reaching out to 800 yards? What's, for you and your situation, what distance do you feel comfortable with, and then you can figure out what sort of platform you need to fit that situation.
For me, it'd be like 500, 600 yards. It'd be an intermediate rifle cartridge battle rifle, semi-automatic platform, magazine-fed weapon. Pretty much sums it up for me. Most likely an AR or something similar, common ammo.
Well, for me, all my stuff is I've got an AK and a Tavor, and all my stuff is only set up for CQB. So until I, get enough money together for a, coup or something like that, I'm just going to stick to close range, stuff. And I'm perfectly. I mean, I know I can push out farther, than just CQB, but I think I'm not going to need that right now, unless I actually get into. Even if I get into the rainforest, I still don't think I'm going to need anything. But I definitely, it's just financially right now. Lapu is sometime next year, middle maybe. I think I'm financially more interested in that little plot of jungle. So I'm going to make do with my red dots, my AK iron sights, and my Tavor, and hopefully I don't need to go to my handgun because I'm just much better with rifles. Okay.
Okay. So you do have an AK.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Randy?
I have kind of a follow-on question. I've never handled a Tavor, let alone shot one. At least from the manufacturer, how not the cartridge, but as far as the stability of the weapons platform, what are they? How far out do they suggest that you can accurately reach and be combat accurate?
Well, it's how you have your rifle set up. If you want to put a scope on it and try and reach out as far as you can. I'm not doing that because I'm not using it for that purpose. And besides, there isn't even a long-range place to range where you can go shooting long ranges yet here on Freaking Island. Literally, unless you own a land with a clear. I mean, there isn't a place. We're talking about putting one together right down, like just 10 miles from here, but it's still in the environmental assessment and people objecting to its stage and so I don't even have any place to do that. So I just have a red dot, and I have a 3x magnifier if I need it. I'll flip to side mount, but I don't have anywhere to even try to push it out, much past 150 yards. So it's not even on. And where I live, I wouldn't need it for more than that, So
yeah.
if I get into long range shooting, I have to have some place to practice. With it first. So either be on my land or if they've opened up actual long-range shooting range in Hawaii.
I didn't mean you personally, because I understand you have very restricted geographical locations. I just meant the weapons platform on its own. Because it is a bullpup, it is limited in distance.
Well, I mean, they have them with the 18-inch barrel, too, and I've seen those things shot out to 600, 700, 800, 1,000 yards, and with some accuracy, but it has to be set up for that, and I know that I'm not doing that on mine.
What are they shooting, 308 to get out to that distance?
No, the 18-inch, I've seen an 18-inch shoot 1,000 yards relatively accurate. See, I don't remember. I think Matt Military Arms Channel has a long-range one with his 18-inch Tavor. I don't really watch him much, but I do remember that he did push out that far with the
223 or 556.
Yeah. The 18-inch barrel. Yeah.
I've not heard of one being able to go out like that far, but okay.
Well, look at the video.
Since you're going to be fighting the wind and everything else, it's going to be like
right.
It's not going to be. You're not going to be able to repeat the results every time.
Well, he has a video with his 18-inch.
But I mean, if there's a man standing like 800 yards away, and you have a decent scope, I mean, if you put 10 rounds at him, and probably you have a pretty good chance of hitting him, if your skills are appropriate.
Assuming that he stands there and does not move.
That's also true. Yes. So you got to take that into account. Your first shot. What's the probability of your first shot being a hit? But yeah, that's the details. So.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, with me, it's a question of getting in the jungle, knowing camo, movement discipline, and camouflage, You know.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
you know,
bullpup makes a lot of sense in that environment.
yeah, and I've got a green laser on mine too. If for some reason everything else fails, you know, I've got a laser, and I just point, and don't even have to use anything. But I mean, if everything else dies for some reason, you know, EM electromagnetic pulse or I mean, whatever. Of course, and then there's the AK, iron sights. I was just natural to the AK because when I was a kid, I think I had a Daisy Red Ryder and I shot like 20,000 BBs or something, you know. Yeah. When I got an AK, it was like I just started hitting everything with it. So I mean, I love it. And, but I don't shoot out the distance. So. One day I'll get a Lapua. I know IWI has got a Lapua coming out, rifle with folding stock coming out the next SHOT Show. I mean, they released it at the Euro Satori, but I mean, as far as just showing it, but you know, production-wise, that's what they're telling us.
Would you be getting it for reasons other than prepping, for just like enjoyment purposes, or?
Yeah, well, it's all fun, you know. I mean, if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. You know, I mean, you know, the people that do it professionally, you know, they get. I mean, like when I was running an audio studio, the last thing I wanted to do was do audio, but that's what people paid me to do, and or work on films. The last thing I want to do is go see a film, unless somebody was paying me to. And that background is really distracting.
The only reason I ask is in regards to you've chosen a round that its primary advantage is distance, and yet you've mentioned multiple times how your primary situation out there is short distance.
Yeah, well, I you know, that doesn't mean I don't want to be able to shoot long distance. You know, eventually, you know, I mean, and the enjoyment part of it is too. And I like the learning process. That's one reason I got into something. Started getting into guns in the first place. Just fun learning the stuff. You know, going through it. You know.
So you do have the option of finding a long distance range somewhere out there.
Well, I'm hoping soon. I mean, I'm not going to buy one until we get one, or I have I mean, there's hunting areas that you can shoot long distance range. You know, there's hunting areas where you can, but you have to go hiking to them, and you have to have, you know, and since without the shit hit the fan situation, you're supposed to call in. You know, you have to have your $10 a year hunting permit. You have to take in the class, have your hunter's ed card. And you have to call in and let them know exactly where you're going. You know, that day. You know. And tell the DLNR people.
Oh, so there's a big hassle factor.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you never do it. Yeah, it's a very big hassle factor. You know? So I haven't done it yet. I've just been going up to where everybody else goes, shoots, and shooting, you know, the 100, 150 yards or whatever, you know, so-called range, you know, that we have. So what was this subject? What was this talking point we were on about the rifles, or?
It was like what rifles I guess everybody had, like their main go-to.
Okay, yeah, Brandon, go.
Call me old-fashioned, but AR. So it's what I was raised on. It was my father had when he was a cop, and you know then it's what I was brought up on. I just actually got into She Whips can hate me for this one, but I just actually got into AKs about 6 months ago, and I don't know if it's because I don't train with them, but it is not something that's comfortable for me to use. I don't know, maybe it's the ergonomics, but I've always found the M4 platform to be really comfortable. But also, you know, I guess it's kind of biased because of what I was raised with. So, but I like AKs fine. So, and I have an AK, so it would be either or. You know, whatever's close enough, whatever I can get out there, whatever But also at the same time, remember when the whole ammo crisis happened, you couldn't find 5.56, you couldn't find 2.23. You know, the only thing that was available was 7.62. So, That's another thing you gotta think about.
It's cheap too. Still, 7.62 you can get a case for not too much compared to 5.56.
What was
Something
that?
up on the ceiling about to get you? It looks like there's some green, one of those things from Star Trek on the ceiling or whatever, this flying pancake thing. Okay. Anything else on rifles there?
I'm sorry?
Anything else on rifles there, Brandon?
Oh no! Other than that, my shotgun, it's a terrible shotgun. You guys would probably hate it, but it's got a SPOS 12.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it runs. It runs.
It runs beautifully.
And that's all that matters.
Okay. Ballistic, what's your go-to rifle there?
It'd be my AR. I'm about to. Well, I haven't finished it yet. I'm wrapping up a build on it here in a few months. I'll have it complete. But yeah, it'd be an AR. And a good pump action shotgun. Like since you mentioned shotgun, I'd just say like an 870. That's what I have on hand. Also got several Mossbergs in the family. My grandpa was a big shotgun guy, so there's plenty of shotguns laying around. And then my Glock. And my Glock and my 1911. I probably pack both of them. Both very prolific pistols. Always find parts and stuff for them.
All right. Dana, what's your go-to rifle? You're asking me about mine.
Yeah, I'm kind of split between the AK and the AR. I enjoy them both for different reasons.
All right. And you don't care to expand on that?
It's just that I'm much more familiar with the AR platform intimately, but it doesn't have that same level of real-world reliability that I have with my used AK.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I've proven it to myself. I didn't need a million videos to show me, although I've watched a lot. But just in my own experiences, I can see the difference in reliability. And to me, the number one aspect of any firearm is always reliability, whether it's a handgun or a long gun. Reliability is number one, and everything else is number two.
Yeah, it doesn't break, jam, or overheat. It'll shoot whether it's filled with sand or buried in mud.
Right.
So
I mean, everything's gonna break no matter when. You just want to be the thing that's gonna take the longest to break.
You will never break an AK. It's hard to break those things, man. I mean, you have to really go slow.
And I'm relatively new to that platform. I mean, I've been familiar with the AR for decades. I've only become recently, in the past year or slightly less, become familiar with the AK, and its reliability is what I've kind of fallen in love about it.
But I will say that with the Tavor, if I got my red dot and everything's working and it's smooth, I mean, I'd rather go with that because I just don't miss it in CQB. I mean, I feel like I'm not going to ever miss with it, So, and I could miss with an AK, just an iron sight, but if I got the red dot, if I'm, got my red dot on a target, I could just go target 1, target 2, target 3, target 4, anybody else, and it would be just that fast, So, I feel pretty confident with it, which is, I don't feel it's as reliable as an AK, as far as, something could jam, if it's, it gets dirty, if I didn't clean the bolt out completely and it completely greased everything up, there could be an issue. But I wouldn't pick anything else, really. That's what I would grab, if I knew it was working.
This is the AK I picked up. I know nothing about it. For $500, it's a Stava.
Cool.
I don't even know if it's. As I said, I don't know anything about AKs, but the guy was like, "Hey, it's a $500 brand new AK. It came with 3 mags," and I was like, "Hey, why not?" So.
Hey, Buzz.
Hey.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about that one you bought. I have a Zastava, but it's a slightly different model. Mine's the underfolder. But you have a chromed bolt carrier assembly and piston, and that makes it a whole lot easier to clean.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, the fouling doesn't stick to the chrome, just like
Yes.
a chrome bore.
As well as the receiver itself is 1.5 mils, not 1. So the receiver is inherently stronger than other AKs, with the exception of the Russian.
No.
Let me finish speaking, Fuss.
Sorry.
With the exception of the 2 mil, which is because of the RPK. Is that correct?
I thought
I
that
can't
the
be wrong.
RPK was 1.5.
Okay.
I might
And
be
maybe
mistaken.
1.5 as well.
Yeah. So Zastavas are good. Can't go wrong with them. Well, you
Yeah.
can, but
I've shot one and
And
handled
the
some
oth-
of them pretty nice, eh, for an AK.
the underfolder is the original CQB of the Soviet bloc.
correct.
Thank you for waiting this time.
Sorry.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Hey, just call me Aaron from We Like Shooting and drink.
Many times I am wrong.
Yeah, I have a Pat pistol, and I freaking love that thing. So, same manufacturer.
Yeah, and until the ATF's letter on the SIG brace, they had a very bright future.
I still have a SIG brace on mine.
That, in fact, I had actually started. I had never said anything about it, but I started, in my mind, started what I'll call that gun fantasy about maybe I should consider, down the road looking into such and such, and then the letter came out, and that was the end of that dream.
You can still own it.
Well, I live in a state where even with a tax stamp, it would not be possible. Oh, yes, I can own it, but you know what I mean.
You could own it. You could have it. You could do a lot of things.
Yes.
And if we're talking about a World War III situation,
Oh yeah, that's
I have let's just say I have an underfolder stock and a rear trunnion for an underfolder, and that pistol. If World War III were to happen tomorrow, I'd be having some fun.
yeah. Like I'm sorry. Go ahead, Fez.
I was gonna say, and I have rivets and everything to do a conversion, but I'm not gonna do it.
Like when I had my my AR pistol, I had a LWRC pistol with my SIG brace on it, and then I had my Wyndham AR, and like I was thinking about it, I was like, man, like it would be so much more comfortable to turn this into an SBR. Like, granted, if stuff hit the fan and whatnot, because it is just a lot. Like I was holding one of their SBRs at the gun shop, and like just having like a rifle that is about that long and with a brace, man, it is just so comfortable. I mean, the ergonomics are insane.
Mhm.
It's too bad you have to pay $200 for ergonomics, but
That or you could just put a cane tip or something at the end of your buffer tube, which is still perfectly legal for the ATF.
does anybody know any update on that? Like, has SIG sent like a complaint against it, or are they going to court about that, or?
ATF, if they did, they'd be buried. They're still buried in emails and faxes.
No, they did it before. They are actually looking into litigation. I don't know if they've actually sued, but they did. They're looking into litigation against the ATF.
Gotcha.
I just did want to do a quick poll of everybody in the room, since this is still technically a prep for a World War III chat. Does anybody have what's your situation on portable water? Carrying portable water.
Well, I have like a small lake in my front yard, That's
can't carry the lake, but you have a lake in your front yard. That's great.
yeah. It's almost an acre. It's not quite. It's not.
Do you have any way to transport any of it you have to move, go out?
Yeah, we have some 55. We have some 55-gallon drums laying around and some 5-gallon buckets that could easily be emptied and filled.
That's great. That's great. Okay, Fuss.
I have, like, for extreme mobile, I have a 3-liter Camel pack. I have hydration, 5-gallon bucket hydration, gravity fed that I could use, and I am talking with a buddy that goes up to the lake quite a bit, and on his way back, he passes a place that has really cheap 55-gallon drums, like the pickle ones. So they may have a, foul smell for a little bit, but they'll be good for shit hits the fan, and I'd use that. Oh, and let's just say, within a 30-minute drive, I am at 5 big boating lakes, and yeah, I could get to water fairly quick.
Okay, I'm going to add filtration to this. Do you have any kind of filtration?
Yes, I have small filtrations, and I have the big, like 100,000-gallon gravity-fed filtrations, and all you really have to do is clean them, and they'll go.
Those Kadon ones, or?
I can't remember the brand. I bought them about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Okay, Caleb, did you have filtration? I forgot to ask.
What's the question? Filtration?
Filtration.
Filtration on that water at all?
I mean, not really. No. I mean, you can always use bleach. So.
All right, but no direct
And
filtration.
I mean, it's not that hard to filter water. You just take it, make what they call a sieve. You take a T-shirt or something like that, and you just pour, or something very fine, close to what.
That's fine for rocks and twigs.
Pour the water through it. Well, I mean, the water's clean anyways. I've drank the water out of our pond before, or out of the creek anyways, the running water.
Well, the thing is, you can always boil it.
Yeah, you forget one thing about running water. It's still full of bacteria and parasites.
Yeah.
And plus it can get contaminated too. So yeah, I'd probably end up boiling it though.
Hey, so Pork, what's your portable water storage and filtration? You have anything along those lines?
That is one thing I'm actually working on right now. That's where I'm kind of lacking in my prep. Got the ability to boil water, but I've got nothing to really filter it out with, or purify it with. I should say, no, like tablets to purify the water, or little, or even bleach to go and put drops in the water and let it stand. Right now I'm relying on boiling.
All right, Dano, did you have any portable and filters?
Yes, I have a Berkey system, which is 2 carbon filters in it, which not just filter, but they also purify the water, including viruses. Viruses are much smaller than bacteria, so they're actually much more difficult to get out. And that's the difference. If you see something advertised as a water filtration and something else advertised as water purification, purification is a much higher standard of clean water than filtration.
And what's your portable storage? Do you have any stuff? So if you have,
it stores a gallon and a half, which
do you have any other
fine.
systems? A gallon and a half?
Oh, you mean as far as getting water, or,
no, I mean
filtering water?
I mean, do you have any storage for portable water? When you getting water, moving water, if you have to move with water, getting water, any portable water storage containers.
Oh, well, I mean, I have a series of cleaned 5-gallon buckets with removable tops.
Food grade or just?
Grade, yes.
Okay.
And the tops actually screw on by hand. You don't need a special tool. So you could fill it 5 gallons up with, let's say, 3.5 gallons, because you have to and you do 2 of them, and you don't want them too heavy, and you don't want to be spilling water all over the place. So in one trip you should be able to get 6 gallons or more, or at least 6 gallons. And for again, I'm not prepping for 5 people. I'm prepping for basically 2. So I don't need huge volumes. And I also have access to both, traditional natural water sources, creeks, rivers, but I also have, since I live in a rural town, we have a number of what's called sandpoint wells, which is basically with sandpoint, simply a pipe with a screen filter at the end, hammered down into the water level that you can simply turn on a valve on top and water will come out. Now, it's not necessarily down far enough where it's as clean as well water. It might be, let's say, 200 feet down. It might be only, let's say, 30 feet down. There's enough pressure to come out, and it's cleaner than what's in the river, yet it still needs to be filtered and then purified.
Yeah, Hawaii is really weird that way. I mean, it's very hard to dig. Okay, see you, Ballistic. Thanks for coming in.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'll be back on here hopefully about a half hour. I just gotta finish up an assignment real quick, so I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
All right.
Yep.
See you, man.
Take care.
Julie says, "Nice to see a kid doing homework." I was saying that it's hard to dig because you're digging through black lava rock, and excavation services around here charge a ton of money to dig anything, because you're dealing with hard black volcanic lava rock. But on the upside, if you're living, depending on where you're living, if you go down, if you're living on the in some spots, then the water flows underground through all that lava and it gets filtered. And it's really cool. In some spots, the lava goes down to the the water goes down through the black rock, goes all the way down to where the lava is, heats up, comes back up as steam, and there's like like really warm tide pools around. But you can, depending on if you just dig down and drill down deep enough, yeah, you will hit, and you can hit water, but yeah, you're definitely gonna have to get that done before on your property before the shit hits the fan if you want that filtered water, and you'd have to be down slope, and you have to pick a geographic location that will work specifically for that. So where I live, it's like we're screwed. So in Kona right now, up there I would just be using catchment rainwater because there's there's plenty up in the jungle every day by convection and that gets blown in. But yeah, I have 2 5-gallon of those Reliance made in Canada that are what is it, BP free or whatever it is, that bad chemical that's in the plain plastic containers, with the Mimics.
BPA.
Yeah, BPA free. Yeah, ones that. And so I got 2 of the Reliance, those big blue 5-gallon containers or whatever, and I run those through my reverse osmosis filter, and so I kind of try and rotate my water every once in a while, and I keep those things, and so I can grab those, and I have 2 other water containers. And one thing that's cool that I do in my freezer is I have, that anybody can do that has a freezer of any kind, is you get 2 of those really big, or 2 or 3 of those big 1-quart freezer bags, and you just freeze those and stick them in your freezer, and you kind of make them so they're flat, and the water freezes flat more or less, and you have these huge blocks of ice. I mean, it takes like 72 hours really to freeze a huge quart thing in one big ice cube, but it's nice to have all that in your freezer ready to go. Okay, next, Brandon, water, portable water.
I have like a box of the USCG little water packets. They're like, I don't know, probably about 8 ounces in little bags. And then I have the what do you call it? What's that? Life Straw. I have a bunch of those little things and a couple Camelbacks and stuff. So I was thinking about getting the Berkey, but I just, I don't have $400 to shoot right now.
You don't need to. If you want to, you can just buy the filters and go and just buy some 5-gallon buckets, even from like Home Depot or something. Especially like for shit hits the fan, because you'll be going through that quite a bit, and you'll go ahead and make it yourself.
And Berkeys are not $400. They sell about 5 different models. Mine, in particular, cost, I believe it was $160. and there was 1 or 2 levels below mine, so it does vary.
Okay.
I mean, they have some jumbo capacity ones that are certainly up there.
Yeah. Oh, so, something else I also do that reminded me of when you said it, in your freezer, is I run a CPAP, so I buy a lot of 1-gallon containers, and after I use those, I go ahead and fill them up with regular tap water and put them in my freezer, and I'll freeze them because it's about half full of meat, and I'll use less electricity while I have water in there, and it's just frozen water for if power goes out or anything like that. I know I could stick stuff in that freezer, and I'll have tons of ice sitting in there to help keep it cold and stuff for the immediate future.
I have a variation of what Fuss just said. I also have a CPAP, except what I do is I get 50 gallons of distilled water for my CPAP machine that I'm going to use, and then as I use it, I replace it, but then the quality of the water I have on hand is always very high versus tap water, which is good, still a lot better than what's coming out of that creek.
Yeah, I do the same. I don't have 50. I probably have 20, 25 gallons of distilled water up there as well. So.
And I use the excuse of, it was on sale.
Yeah, the thing is people are like, go out and get a 20-ounce bottle of water for $1.50. You go to Walmart, you'll get a gallon for 69 cents.
Of distilled water, which is as good as it gets.
Distilled in China, though.
Still, it's distilled water. I mean, it's
gonna make me go. All right, I'm gonna go look at. I don't think it is China. I'm gonna go look.
I don't know. I don't care. And Quirk says, I have access to natural springs too. I mean, our water table, up in the Ozarks, if I dig down 40, 50 feet, I'm hitting some water. So.
Yeah, I walked down 150 feet and I'm at the water table.
Because all the lakes we have, being up here in northwest Arkansas, if I want to, I'd go over Bull Shoals Lake, and that's probably 150 miles long.
Yeah. Down my back hill, 150 feet down, is a swamp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here, if you go down too far, you'll hit lava, and then you maybe will be
Well, you'll just have a different type of spring.
Not the
good. Hey, you won't need to worry about fire.
That's true. You'll be able to boil your water.
My distilled water is from the fresh water of Illinois.
Yeah, I have.
Or Chicago Municipal.
A water dick measuring contest or something.
So I know I came in late, but did you guys talk about any odd firearms that you would have, more than just like the AK, AR, stuff like that?
I think we got onto firearms last. We were pretty much covering. I'll just ask you a couple questions. What will World War III be?
I got you.
That was first.
Got you.
Well.
I hope it's not what I think will happen. Honestly, I think there's going to be some type of martial law, but I hope it doesn't happen. If it's not that, it's going to be some type of massive terrorist attack or something like that coming from the south.
From the south? You mean Mexico?
Yeah, coming up through Mexico because of the open border. Attack it from the soft belly.
You're not too far off.
So.
That's pretty spot on.
And so what was the next thing we were talking about was, are you happy with your location as far as bugging in or bugging out? Do you have a place to go?
Yeah, I live in a 13,000 person town. As I told you, I have a lot of water around. There's a lot of hunters around here. That's actually a downside because everyone will be taking big game. But the thing is, a lot of people don't squirrel and rabbit hunt around here. So I could definitely do that. And I keep right now. I have about 3-4 months worth of food, so I'm going to be staying in for the first little bit. Let people roam and die off basically. And
Okay, and the other one was what's the skill you what prep or skill or what are you least prepared? What thing do you need to prove on that you don't
medical. I don't have to go to the doctor. I'm fairly healthy except for the CPAP, but as long as I sleep kind of sitting up, I'm totally fine with that. But anyway, with medical and stuff, I know very little about it. But I do have some friends and stuff like that are in the medical field. So it's one of those things that I'm not good on it, but they are. So.
All right. Well, I have some quick plot and medical, just some basic medical stuff in a medical emergency pack, and that I figure if I have quick plot and some basic skills, just basic first aid, and that'll probably be good enough. I hope,
Yeah, like until like the first month and a half, I plan on. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to ask him, do you have the quick clot that's embedded in the gauze, or do you have the quick clot that's the powder?
The gauze one.
Okay.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, my take is, for the first month, I'm not leaving my house. If I do, it's going to be at 1-2 o'clock in the morning to go get water, and that's about it.
That's a good question for across board. I think.
And I'm going to be here. Let people die off. I mean, my house is going to be closed up. Let people starve, become raining bands, because that's going to happen within 2 weeks. Most people will be dead after a month, and then I'll start getting out then.
I think that's an excellent question that, when I've been in other chats, a lot of times doesn't come up as, because there's different stages. The first stage is keep your head down from everything, from being seen to objects flying, et cetera, and I know for myself, I have a very similar philosophy, I think, in regards to FUS, for what I'll call stage 1. Now, whether that's 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or 6 months, I don't know. But for stage 1, that is my plan. Now, come stage 2, I'm looking for people who had the foresight and the intelligence and the skill set to understand they needed to create a bridge, because that's what prepping is. It's a bridge. It's a bridge to go from one point to another point.
Quick question. How many of you guys have additional fuel for your vehicles for after that first?
Storing fuel for me, none, because storing fuel in a condo is kind of hard to do right
now. What about your vehicle? Do you always have at least a half tank in your vehicle?
Oh, yeah, I keep it full up.
Basically, unless I'm out traveling, I always make sure that I can go 200 miles in a tank, at least.
I store 2 tanks, and then I go with always a half tank or greater.
Yeah, I mean, right now I have my tank is my car's tank is fairly small, so all I need to do is 5 gallons, and I can go 200 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good with that.
But in order to make that work, just like food, you have to rotate it.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I literally date when that gas is from, and I make sure that it gets, oldest first goes back into the car and gets burned. And then I fill that up with fresh and then redate it.
Yep, and put
as well
stabilizer in it.
as stabilizer. Yes.
Yeah, I have stabilizer in mine. I have 2 jerry cans. One is full of kerosene. The other one is full of gasoline because I do have a kerosene heater for, in case power goes out because my house is all electric. So I do that in the winter. And
Speaking of winter, is anybody, I realize maybe not in the warmer climates, but for those of us in the north, have an emergency heat plan other than leaving your place? I mean, I have a certain amount of propane that I keep along with a indoor class rated propane heater because most propane heaters are not indoor rated.
Yep,
meaning you'll die.
That's why I have my kerosene. It's indoor outdoor. And
okay, cool.
in the winter, if like I've had it down here in my living room, which I live split level, so I could have it down here, and it will actually heat up my entire house. Like if right now my house is about 70 degrees. If power goes out right now, I could turn it on, and within an hour, my upstairs will be 90 plus degrees. So what I would end up doing is I'd go upstairs because one of my bedrooms is the most insulated. I'd go up there, I'd turn it on for 30 minutes, get it warm, and then I'd shut it off for several hours. And then I'd turn it on, let it warm up, shut it off. I wouldn't keep it running.
Yeah, until last winter, which was the worst temperature-wise, the worst winter we've had in a long time, several decades, I was not really prepared for, if heat was not available, being forced to leave my residence. And that's why this year I made preparations for that. So anyway, I realize this is the top of the hour. Hawaii, I want to thank you for inviting me. And I mentioned I kind of need to take off. So thanks a lot. Very informative always. Nice to get together with people who have other ideas, especially with different situations. So because that's how I learned.
One last
I didn't
question.
reinvent everything. Sure.
One last question before you go. Okay, bomb Iran, yes or no?
What?
You think it's a good idea to if we? Okay, never mind. That was my question. Bomb Iran, yes or no? But maybe it's politically incorrect.
Well, that's something we would need a lead into rather than just jump.
Okay.
So, all right, I'll let you go. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, man, thanks for coming, Dano.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Anything else we should cover in the prep for World War III chat here? Or have we covered everything? More shit hit the fan next time? Somebody says in chat.
Have you thought of body armor or training or anything like that?
Well, body armor, I've thought of it. It's just, I can't do everything financially all at once. No.
Right. But I mean, okay, not body armor because I'm not going to have any body armor anytime soon because just
and
like
in Hawaii,
afford everything.
It has to be. It's not just that in Hawaii. It's just so hot. It's
okay,
humid.
and that's fine.
I'd rely on camouflage. If possible.
So would I, but body armor. If I come across some at a reasonable price, or if I have some money that I just want to blow, I could do it. But yeah, I would rather, I'd rather have training and tactics. I know. Was it Robbie? No, Brandon. Sorry. I know he's been in the military. I have not. I'm going to be taking a tactical response pistol, fighting pistol, next month, and I'm hoping to get back either this. I'm hoping for this fall going over to Camden and taking a fighting rifle. So I am gonna.
I wish you guys, after you get all your training, would come out here and help me because I don't know. I'm mostly a recreational shooter. I shoot for fun, so you guys could probably teach me a lot if you guys ever make it to the Big Island.
Yeah, well, I shoot USPSA. I mean, it's not training, but I could draw fairly quick from an outside the waistband holster. because of it, and I can point shoot at fairly decent distances and have pretty good accuracy. So.
I mean, basically my favorite handgun is a rifle, so for me, it's like my handguns are just for fun and for emergencies when everything else jams or fails or something.
And that is true. I mean, if we're talking about like prepping and a World War III scenario, I think are two totally separate areas. Because a World War III scenario, my main firearm will be a rifle. In a prepping society, my main probably won't be a rifle.
Well, but this is prepping for World War III.
Oh, if it's prepping for World War III, rifles is going to be my.
And yours will be your AR?
AK.
AK? Oh, you're an AK guy.
I'm both. I have AK. I have. Let's see. I have two home-built AK-47s, AK-47 pistol. I have one AK-74. I'm going to be building another AK-74. And then I have two AR rifles. Basically, any gun or any round that I stockpile, I want to have at least two firearms chambered in that. Like I have an M44 and a Type 53 for, just basically if a friend or something that I can trust, just a gun to toss to them. So I have two of those. As I said, I have multiple AKs, I have multiple 9s, I have multiple ARs, multiple AK-74s. And then, I have a K31 that I'm not going to stockpile, but again, it's something that I can give to someone. And last weekend I saw it in a Keem, an 8mm at a gun show. I'm hoping I see it next week at another gun show.
What's a Keem?
Grab it.
I'm not.
It's a semi-auto. It's an 8mm and 8mm Mauser. It's a semi-auto. But I think it's a 10-shot magazine fed with stripper clips. It's a direct impingement. It's Egyptian.
It's a 8mm, did you say?
Yes, 8mm. Because there are several where I'm at. Mausers are actually fairly popular, so 8mm Mauser would be something, and that would be kind of cool. And that's something that I may have 500 rounds for. Nothing that I'm going to stockpile, but it's still another gun that I can enjoy to shoot, and still be a gun that I toss to someone and say, "Here, at least someone's armed."
Okay, Brandon, jump in and say something. You've been quiet for way the fuck too long.
Sorry, man. Just freaking girlfriend's been texting me up the wazoo.
It's called an off button.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
In her terms, that's the relationship off button.
If you, I swear, technology is getting out of control.
It is a double-edged sword. If good people use it, it's a great thing. If bad people and women use it, it's a bad thing. I did not say that out loud on a live chat.
Well, you should have been here last night. There was a knockdown, drag-out door slamming contest downstairs, man.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, last night I was busy. I was powder coating.
Yeah, that's the problem with your powder. Oh, let's not get into powder coating. That's what they love in chat.
Yeah, that's fun.
Well, man, when I used to live in apartments, like that was a problem. Like, just you hear everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I live in a house and I can hear my neighbors shut their car doors.
Well, this was door slamming like the building's gonna fall down. They're slamming it so hard, screaming at each other. Married life ain't it grand,
That's why I'm single.
It's worked for some people, you just.
Here I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna send myself an image. Continue on now. I'll bring up this image here in a little bit.
All right. Well, I don't know how much longer we can see. Somebody wanted us to talk about Marauders, but I don't know how to tie that into the
Marauders.
chat.
What is that?
It's like those people.
Yeah, that's like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like those people that you see like on Doomsday Preppers. The guy that's like, well, if you have something that I need, I'm gonna come to your house with my crew and get it. And it's
Okay, that's why you have firearms and defense, and you're not alone.
mhm.
Yeah, that comes under. Thanks for bringing me your gun. Thanks for coming by and donating your gun. Who do you want? Where do we send the next notification?
It was funny. That guy on Doomsday Preppers actually got in trouble for saying that, and like the sheriff's department in his town arrested him for basically making a terrorist threat for saying that he's going to come to somebody's house and kill him and take their stuff.
He needs a lawyer. Let me count the ways I could defend that guy for saying that. Oh God. So.
Okay, I'm gonna screen share it here a little bit. Here a second.
Yep.
And for me, that girlfriend I don't have to worry about that.
So you just have to worry about food, gas, and guns.
Pretty much. Well,
Yeah,
let's just say in the past few years, if I would not have been infatuated with firearms, I could have paid off my house.
Yeah, I hear you. If I had not picked up firearms as a hobby, I could have bought a Range Rover.
Yep. Yeah, I started in early 2011, and at the end of 2012, so that's 2 years, I figured out how much I spent, and I made myself sick. So.
Guys, I hate to be this person, but I'm going to have to split. She's getting mad. So.
All right, man. I think we got to end this chat at this point anyway. So, this has been the, what is this? Oh, Prep for World War III chat. And I hope you guys learned something. And hey, y'all be cool. Thanks for watching.
All right, we'll see you.
See you.